I am absolutely speechless this morning at the results of the massive pandemic inquiry, which has just been released. And I'm making this unplanned video. It's Friday morning. I'm about to hit the gym. And it's November the 21st, but it may as well have been April the 1st when I read the news from the United Kingdom. So let me tell you what happened then. For those of you who are in the United States, the United Kingdom had a massive inquiry. Can you believe cost around $300 million looking into the disastrous, shambolic pandemic response? And the idea of this ridiculous amount of money being spent was to come to some conclusions, to maybe work out what went wrong, and to do better in the future. But can you believe what the main conclusion was? I had to look twice when I read the headline. Their conclusion, after spending all this money looking into everything that happened, was that the United Kingdom should have locked down earlier and harder. Can you believe that? And those of you who are in the United States may not understand the degree of lockdowns that happened in many parts of the world, including the United Kingdom, far beyond anything that would even be allowed or constitutional in the United States. I'm talking about the police issuing fines if you leave the house, people coming to your house to check if you're at home. This happened to me when I visited the United Kingdom to check that I was isolating, even though I was healthy and didn't even have any virus and was testing negative. That's what was going on in the United Kingdom. Of course, it was all about something else. It was a huge money grab. It was all about control. But these people, and it was led by some baroness who probably has no background in health or science, looking into what happened during the pandemic with the government at the time, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and that was their conclusion, that many more lives would have been saved if the United Kingdom had gone in harder. I don't know where to start with this. Aside from the ridiculous cost, $300 million, the United Kingdom, like many countries, is in a financial hole right now. Where the heck did they find $300 million from for this sham inquiry? But lockdowns are utterly devastating. They were devastating on multiple different levels. I mean, let's think about this. Firstly, aside from the logical fallacy that you can escape from an easily transmissible respiratory virus, which was already spreading months before, since December, many people had already come down with the infection and thought it was something like the flu. Regardless of the fallacy that you can control this thing, look at what lockdowns did. Think about what it did to people's mental health, both young and old. The effect on people's metabolic health. Of course, there was no mention whatsoever in this report about addressing the metabolic health of the nation. Of course not. Why even think about that? It's all about lockdowns. Think about people who died alone in the hospital, those crazy, inhumane visitation restrictions. And then, can you believe this? The one thing which they did praise was the rollout of the shot. Now, the shot over there in the United Kingdom, it was highly encouraged everywhere. People were getting hit from all directions about going and taking the shot, but they didn't have the same level of coercion as in the United States. And in fact, many of the royal colleges in the United Kingdom, I was actually proud of this, said that mandates were actually unethical, whereas that didn't happen in the United States. The physician societies, medical associations in the United States all supported mandates. So different countries did different things wrong. But what's interesting is the United Kingdom, right at the beginning of the pandemic, wanted to follow a similar approach to Sweden, which did things right. They wanted to encourage people to be careful, but not lock down. And then this all fell by the wayside within a few weeks as the panic set in, and they went into full lockdown mode. Again, this is far beyond what anyone in the United States can imagine. I know here in the United States, we went through a lot, but we didn't go through those extreme lockdowns, basically a police state. And I was cautiously optimistic that all these years later, maybe the people at the top had learned their lesson. But this is why these conclusions are so dangerous, because they have learned nothing about the disaster of lockdowns. They have learned nothing about the fact that you can't roll out a new technology shot, that you can't rush medicine, you can't roll out a shot with enormous question marks and encourage everybody to get it no matter what. This is all highly concerning because it means that if things happen again, heaven forbid anything like this happens again, they will go all in with the same measures and maybe they will go in even harder. That is the most worrying thing. After everything that we've learned, I didn't see any mention about this being man-made, a lab leak, which of course raises enormous concerns. The medical establishment has no intellectual curiosity about that whatsoever. The fact that evidence is pointing towards one of the most devastating health events of people's lifetimes being a man-made phenomenon. I mean, you would think that the medical establishment would be interested in getting to the bottom of that. And then everything else, the irrational, the illogical panic that set in when you need calm heads at the top and you need medicine, you need doctors to be those calm heads. Really, nothing learned at all. And this is an absolutely devastating report, $300 million to say that the UK should have locked down a week or two earlier. This is a complete and utter joke. It's a shambles. It's highly concerning. And I'm speechless. But the past is the past. Those of you who watch this channel, I know a lot of you already realize the clownish nature of the world, the clownish nature of the medical establishment. And all we can do is try to live our lives in the right way, to focus on the right things, including trying to stay healthy. No mention of that in the report. A country, the United Kingdom, which, like the United States, metabolic health is devastated even more after the pandemic. People have stayed indoors. They've got depressed. They are pouring processed foods into their bodies. They're not exercising. No mention of that, of course, whatsoever. It's all about lockdowns. It's all about shots. That was the one thing which they thought the United Kingdom got right. Can you believe it? Anyway, I hope you all have a good day. Keep going. All we can do is our best to keep on being shining examples for everybody else and to keep on stating what we believe is the truth and a more sane, rational way of doing things in life. That's all I've got to say about that. I hope you all have a good day.